Coming up, we go around the diamond in the SEC, recapping all of the action in the Southeastern Conference on the baseball diamond in opening weekend, plus two Tigers and outfielder Jake Brown and starting pitcher Cooper Moore were both named to Baseball America's Team of the Week list. We'll go over that and so much more on a brand new edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. I'm your host, as always, Justin Babin Jr. Welcome into another Hump Day edition of the show. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Hope you folks are doing well as always. Hope you're had a great start to the week and are ready to finish the week out with a bang on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as we reach the halfway point of the work week. Thank you folks as always for tuning in. And look, we're gonna do this once a week. I did my SEC preview segment last week, and once a week we're gonna go around the diamond in the SEC, talking about everything that happened in the Southeastern Conference on the baseball diamond, because I feel like it's important. Obviously, LSU is in the Southeastern Conference, and the Southeastern Conference is the standard of college baseball. You have 11 teams that were in the preseason top 25 in D1 baseball to start the season, so we're going to go through it. We'll go over it. Of course, LSU starting 4-0. Great weekend for the Tigers. 3 games against Milwaukee, 1 game against Kent State. They play again today, Wednesday afternoon, against the Nicholls State Colonels in Alex Box Stadium at 1 p.m. So an early afternoon game against the team over from Thibodaux, Louisiana, coming to Baton Rouge to play the Tigers in the box. So a great weekend for the Tigers. But let's get into what happened around the SEC besides LSU. So we'll start with the team with the most impressive showing in the opening weekend. And it oddly turned out to be one of the only 5 teams that wasn't in the preseason top 25 poll, according to D1 Baseball. They are now in the top 25 poll for this week's D1 Baseball top 25 poll. They are ranked at number 21 because they had a highly impressive weekend. And that team is the Oklahoma Sooners. So Oklahoma played 3 games at Globe Life in Arlington, Texas over the weekend. They won the Shriners Children's Classic, which is one of the premier tournaments that they do at the start of every season. I remember LSU's played in it a couple times. I remember they did it when it was over in Houston a couple times. Oklahoma was in this tournament, and they were impressive. They won all 3 games they played against 3 Big 12 teams, and they beat Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and a top 10 TCU team. And they won all 3 of those games. They combined to outscore their opponents by a combined score of 32-6 in 3 games combined, and they scored at least 10 runs in every game they played this weekend. Again, they won the Shriners Children's Classic. It was super duper impressive. They jumped from outside the top 25 to start the season. Now, in the latest D1 Baseball top 25, they're ranked as the 21st team in the nation. Former LSU pitcher Cam Johnson had an impressive start for the Sooners against Texas Tech. He pitched 6 innings with a career-high 11 strikeouts in 4 games now, so counting their 3 games in the Shriners Children's Classic and their midweek game that they played this week. In 4 games now, the Sooners have scored 42 runs on 41 hits. So Oklahoma was the most impressive SEC team on opening weekend, especially given the fact that, again, they were one of the only 5 SEC schools that were not ranked inside the preseason D1 Baseball top 25. But Oklahoma was extremely impressive this weekend, jumping up to number 21 in the latest top 25 polls. The number 3 team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, they swept UC Davis this weekend, outscoring UC Davis 27-7. New outfielder for Texas, Aiden Harris, went 5 for 11 with 3 extra base hits, including a home run. Their leader on the pitching staff, Dylan Volantis, who had an incredible freshman season for them last year. In his first start of the season, he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning in his first start on the season on Sunday. So very impressive by Texas and Dylan Volantis sweeping UC Davis over the weekend on opening weekend. The number 13 team in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers, swept Nicholls State over the weekend, the team that LSU actually plays this afternoon. Tennessee swept Nicholls over the weekend, outscored them 27-3 in 3 games. Tennessee hit 19 extra base hits while only allowing 1 extra base hit on the mound all weekend. So an impressive early showing for Josh Elander, the new head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, replacing Tony Vitello. The number 8 team in the country, the Arkansas Razorbacks, they were also, like Oklahoma, they were also playing in Arlington in the Shriners Children's Classic, and they won 2 games out of 3 this weekend. They beat Oklahoma State and Texas Tech in Arlington while losing to top 10 TCU. Arkansas, they didn't have a very impressive offensive weekend. They only hit for an average of 257 as a team this weekend in 3 games. But still, taking 2 games out of 3 against 3 teams in a Power 4 conference in the Big 12 in an early season tournament is still impressive. Winning 2 out of 3 is still pretty good. Really fun stat here. At one point this weekend, Arkansas outfielder Damian Ruiz reached base in 11 straight plate appearances. So that was a very impressive stat for sure for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Moving on to the number 4 team in the country currently in the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Brian O'Connor in his first opening weekend as the Mississippi State head coach. They swept the University of Hofstra. They swept Hofstra. 2 of the games, though, were extremely close. Mississippi State, like Arkansas, did not have a very impressive weekend at the plate, only hitting .236 as a team, but they did sweep Hofstra. But that .236 batting average as a team was the lowest offensive team average for any team in the SEC on opening weekend. But they did manage to win all 3 games against Hofstra on opening weekend. The number 9 team in the country and the Auburn Tigers. The Auburn swept Youngstown State on opening weekend. It was a really dominant performance by the Auburn pitching staff. They recorded 43 strikeouts to only 6 walks in the series, and they only gave up a total of 4 runs over 3 games. So it was a very impressive weekend for Youngstown State. But in a midweek game last night, they hosted Cincinnati, Auburn did, and they lost 8-0 against Cincinnati in a midweek game. So they swept Youngstown State, but they lost a midweek game hosting Cincinnati 8-0 yesterday. The number 18 team in the country in the Kentucky Wildcats swept UNC Greensboro this weekend. They had a whopping 23 stolen bases on the weekend in the 3 games against UNC Greensboro, but their best player, unfortunately, this is really unfortunate for Kentucky, their best player and shortstop Tyler Bell, who was a preseason first-team All-American shortstop Tyler Bell, is injured, and now he is out indefinitely with a shoulder injury after being injured this weekend. And then Kentucky lost to Morehead State yesterday in a midweek game at home. So they swept UNC Greensboro, but the news about Tyler Bell is definitely concerning. And then losing to Morehead State in a midweek game, of course, is not great. The number 24 team in the country and the Aggies of Texas A&M swept Tennessee Tech over the weekend. They had a very impressive offensive performance at the plate against Tennessee Tech, batting .429 as a team. Caden Sorrell led the way. Caden Sorrell went 9 for 15 on the weekend with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs for Caden Sorrell. The Ole Miss Rebels swept Nevada over the weekend, outscoring the Nevada Wolfpack 29-6 in 3 games in Oxford over the weekend. The number 14 team in the country and the Georgia Bulldogs beat Wright State, won the series 2 out of 3 over the weekend against Wright State. Kenny Ishikawa, the Bulldogs player, is a guy you want to pay attention to. Kenny Ishikawa is a two-way player for the Georgia Bulldogs who allowed just 1 hit, with 8 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings to pick up his first win on the mound. And then in the next game, he played center field and also threw a runner out at the plate in the next game. So a two-way player for the Georgia Bulldogs, and Kenny Ishikawa is a guy you want to pay attention to. Again, Georgia beat Wright State 2 out of 3 this weekend on opening weekend. The Alabama Crimson Tide lost on opening day to Washington State, but then won a doubleheader on Saturday to take the series on Saturday. In that doubleheader, 2 starting pitchers for Alabama, and Zane Adams and Miles Upchurch combined in those 2 games of the doubleheader. Zane Adams and Miles Upchurch combined to go 9 scoreless innings with 18 strikeouts to only 2 walks. The number 12 team in the country, the Florida Gators. This was a really surprising one. They lost to UAB on opening day. They did eventually bounce back to win a doubleheader on Saturday to take the series 2 out of 3 against UAB, but it was shocking that they lost on opening day. I'm really interested in Florida this year. Obviously, there was a bunch of offseason controversy with head coach Kevin O'Sullivan, who, as I've mentioned before, I don't like personally Kevin O'Sullivan. They did take the series 2 out of 3, but they did lose on opening day. The Vanderbilt Commodores dropped out of the D1 Baseball Top 25. They were also in Arlington in the Shriners Children's Classic this weekend. They lost 2 out of 3, lost games to TCU and Oklahoma State while managing to beat Texas Tech in Arlington. So they lost 2 out of 3 in the Shriners Children's Classic. Surprising, though, we talked about in the preseason how the concern for Vanderbilt was their power production. How many home runs were they going to be able to hit? Because their power production has been down as a team the past couple of years. But the Commodores managed to hit 8 home runs in their first 2 games alone. So that was definitely an encouraging sign for the power production for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Paul Maneri's team, the South Carolina Gamecocks, took 2 out of 3 this weekend, hosting Northern Kentucky. They also beat Wofford in a midweek game yesterday. And then lastly, the Missouri Tigers. So Missouri, interestingly, they lost opening day to Mount St. Mary's, but then they won the next 2 games against Mount St. Mary's to take the series. But this is one that was very impressive to me. So they won the next 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, but specifically on Sunday, Missouri beats Mount St. Mary's by a final score of 34-3. 34-3. 34 runs in one game is the most runs for Missouri in a single game since 1902. They haven't done it in about 120 years, folks, scoring 34 runs in a single game. Now, they did lose to Florida Atlantic in a midweek game yesterday, but 34-3, I mean, that was one of the most surprising results of the weekend. Because, again, many people expect Missouri to be one of the worst teams, maybe the worst team in the SEC again for the second straight season. But 34-3 on Sunday, that was very impressive. And then, this is not in the SEC, but I had to mention it because it was very impressive. First baseman for Baylor, Tice Armstrong, on opening day hit 3 grand slams in a game against New Mexico State. 12 RBIs in one game. 3 grand slams in one game for Tice Armstrong, the Baylor first baseman, on opening day. I know that's not the SEC, but that was the most impressive thing that I saw in college baseball this weekend. And that is your opening weekend recap going around the diamond in the SEC. Again, we'll do this segment once a week, recapping, keeping up with what's happening with everything, with every team in the SEC. But that is that segment for this week. Let me take the time to tell you about our wonderful daily sponsors over here at the Babin on the Bayou show, and the team over at Shield Heating and Cooling, the best team in the business, a team with multiple decades of experience as experts in the AC industry, and I want to reward you guys for always faithfully tuning into the show, so I want to give something away completely free to you. So if you call the best team in the business over at Shield Heating and Cooling today at the number 225-46 Bayou, that's 225-46 Bayou, Bayou. You tell them you heard about them from the Babin on the Bayou show. I'll be giving away free AC system cleaning checks for every AC system in your home, whether you have one AC system in your home or 4 or 5 AC systems in your home. It doesn't really matter. Call the trustworthy, reliable, the best team in the business today at Shield Heating and Cooling at that number 225-46 Bayou, Bayou, to take a part in this amazing giveaway. Free AC system cleaning checks. If you call that number, completely free to you. As a sign of my gratitude to you guys for always tuning in to the show, I greatly appreciate my audience. I want to reward you. So call the number 225-46 Bayou, Bayou, to take a part in this amazing giveaway. Again, that's Shield Heating and Cooling, your local comfort defenders. And we greatly appreciate them and love them for being the daily title sponsors of the Babin on the Bayou show. All right, 2 more things I wanted to cover real quick before we get out of here, and we'll start with an update on Chris Stanfield, LSU's starting left fielder. So Chris Stanfield did not play in the game Sunday or the game Monday because of bruising and swelling in his hand. You see, in Saturday in game 2, late in the game, Stanfield injured his hand sliding in the home plate late in the game in the 8th inning, I believe. And it's not broken, but it is bruised, and there is swelling that they're waiting on the swelling to come down. Jay Johnson has said that it is day-to-day, so they're hoping he can return sometime soon. Again, he injured his hand sliding in the home plate late in the game in game 2 on Saturday. It's day-to-day. Right now, Jay Johnson says he can play defense and he can run as well, but hasn't really been able to swing with the swelling and the bruising on his hand lately. So hopefully Stanfield will be back soon. Who knows? Maybe he's in the lineup today. By the time you're seeing this, maybe he's not. But the update on Stanfield, as mentioned before, is the injured hand. It's not broken, but it is bruised, and they're waiting for the swelling to come down. So hopefully Stanfield, again, if Stanfield's healthy, he's your starting left fielder. We talked coming into the season about the combination, the trio of Stanfield, Curiel, and Brown as perhaps being the best outfield in America in 2026. So getting the sooner you get Chris Stanfield back, the better. I mean, he's a veteran guy. He's a leader, a captain on this team, a veteran guy, a national champion from last year's team, and one of the best outfielders in the country. Jay Johnson always raves about his play, not only his play, but his leadership skills as well. So hopefully Chris Stanfield gets back out on the field for the Tigers very, very soon. He should. It's a day-to-day injury, but they're waiting for that bruising and swelling to go down. Also, quickly wanted to shout out that outfielder for LSU, Jake Brown, and starting pitcher Cooper Moore were both named yesterday to Baseball America's Team of the Week list. Look, Jake Brown's been on a tear to start the season. We talked about it yesterday. But in 17 at-bats so far this season, Jake Brown has 9 hits. 4 of those 9 hits have been home runs. 2 of those 9 hits have been doubles. He has 10 RBIs on the season and 2 walks with only 3 strikeouts. So Jake Brown has been on an absolute tear so far in 4 games, which is why he was named to Baseball America's Team of the Week list. And then we mentioned starting pitcher Cooper Moore, who started the game on Saturday, was absolutely dynamite. He went 6 innings in his first start as a Tiger Saturday, only gave up 1 run on 4 hits with 11 strikeouts. So again, the top 2 guys of the weekend, we could mention, obviously, Gavin Guidry in here as well. I thought Gavin Guidry in the first 4 games was absolutely phenomenal. But Cooper Moore and Jake Brown absolutely were just on fire on opening weekend. So they were named to Baseball America's Team of the Week list for the opening week of the college baseball season. And then, interesting news, LSU has recently announced a new jersey patch sponsorship with Woodside Energy that will start in the 2026-2027 sports season. So you'll see the Woodside Energy patch on the uniforms of the football team, the baseball team, the basketball teams, like all of the teams, basically many sports in LSU athletics will now have the Woodside Energy patch on their uniforms. Obviously, it's a new era. It's a new era of NIL. We saw last year with on the football field, you had Venture Global on the field. Now you have Woodside Energy as a New Jersey patch. All of this, NIL, all of this revenue share. It's a new era of college athletics. So Woodside Energy and LSU have announced a new jersey patch sponsorship. And then we talked about yesterday about alignment between the staff and the players and the coaches buying into Lane Kiffin and buying into his vision. You could talk about that also in ticket sales as well, folks, because LSU currently has 44,000 people on a football season ticket waiting list, and according to Verge Alsbury, the most they've ever had is 17,000. So that's huge. I mean, you go up from 17,000 was the most ever previously, to now you have 44,000 people on a football season ticket waiting list, according to Verge Alsbury. Season tickets are sold out now with approximately 71,250 season tickets sold, and renewals are near 98%. So again, for LSU football, there is buy-in, there is alignment from the staff to the players to the administration to the fans. The fans are hyped. Again, I think this is going to be one of the most hyped up 2026 seasons ever for LSU football. Everybody is ready to see what Lane Kiffin looks like on the sidelines as the coach in Tiger Stadium for the Fighting Tigers of LSU. I cannot wait. I know that you cannot wait. And I'm so excited. There's so much buy-in. There's so much hype around this program right now. Again, we're kind of in a dead period as far as covering LSU football and doing all of that right now. But there is spring practice for LSU football. It does start in late March on March 24th, I believe. So when that happens, we'll definitely cover everything going on at spring practice. But again, there's buy-in from the fans to the coaches to the administration to the players. Everybody cannot wait for 2026 and Lane Kiffin's first season on the sidelines as the coach for the Fighting Tigers of Louisiana State University. Thank you, folks, as tuning in. As always, that is all that I have on this Hump Day edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. Thank you, folks, as always, for tuning in. Remember, of course, LSU plays Nicholls State today at 1 o'clock in Alex Box Stadium. That's why the show has come out at 12, an hour before the Nicholls State LSU game today, because we didn't want to have a chance of, we come out at 5 o'clock usually every day with a show, but we don't want to get in the way of LSU baseball or anything like that, of course, or ever do a show in the middle of an LSU baseball game. That would be a disaster. So that's why we released this show at 12 today. It goes back to your normal time. The episode, tomorrow's episode, Thursday's episode will be released at 5 p.m. like normal. Just lately with LSU having afternoon games lately, had to move the schedule around. But I thank you, folks, as always, for tuning in to the show. Remember to like the video, share the video, tell your friends if they love LSU sports, if they love LSU baseball, if they love sports in general. Tell your friend about the show to tune in. And remember to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. Thank you, folks, as always, for tuning in. And remember, God bless, go Tigers, and have a great one.